My husband didn't invite his parents to our wedding, yet my in-laws made a dramatic entrance on the big day. My mother-in-law, furious, yelled at me, calling me a dishwasher, and questioning how I had come into her son's life. She also insulted my family. I felt humiliated and asked her to stop, but in her rage, she stormed toward me and yanked my hair so violently that I collapsed to the floor. Everyone stood frozen in shock. My husband rushed forward, pulled her back, and told her to leave. I was determined to get even. With the help of a friend, I set up a plan that would catch them off guard the very next day. My name is Riley Hayes, and this is the story of my life, one filled with love, betrayal, and my pursuit of justice. At 29, I'm a law student, but not long ago, I was just a dishwasher at a local diner in Seattle. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd find love in such a humble setting. But that's where my story begins. On a rainy afternoon, Caleb Stone walked into the diner for the first time. I had been scrubbing dishes in the back, trying to block out the noise of clattering plates and sizzling grills. When I stepped out to refill a coffee pot, I saw him. Caleb was tall with dark hair and a smile that could light up even the dreariest of days. I felt a warm, unfamiliar sensation rush through me. "Can I get you anything?" I asked, trying to sound professional, though my voice betrayed a hint of nervousness. "Just coffee for now, Black, please," he replied, locking eyes with me. "And maybe your number if you're not too busy." I couldn't help but laugh at his boldness, my face turning red. "Sorry, I don't give my number to customers. Company policy." "Is that so?" "Well, I'll just have to come back every day until you change your mind," he grinned. And that's exactly what he did. Caleb came in every day for 2 weeks. At first, it was just coffee and light conversation, but he was charming and genuinely interested in my life. I found myself eagerly anticipating our chats. There was something about him that made me feel seen. After 2 weeks of his persistent kindness, I finally agreed to go out with him. "Fine," I said, trying to sound casual. "One date, but don't get your hopes up, Mr. Stone." That one date turned into 6 months of happiness. We spent countless evenings laughing over takeout, strolling along the waterfront, and dreaming about our future. Caleb was different from anyone I'd ever met. He saw me for who I was, not for my job or background. But as our relationship grew stronger, I began to fear how his family would react when they met me. Caleb came from a wealthy family, and I was worried his parents would judge me because of my humble job and background. "What if they don't like me?" I asked him one evening as we sat on the couch, watching the rain fall outside. "They'll love you. They just need to get to know you," he reassured me, though I could see a hint of doubt in his eyes. One evening, just after we celebrated our 6-month anniversary, Caleb surprised me with a proposal. He took me to our favorite spot by the waterfront, where the moonlight danced on the water's surface. "Riley," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "will you marry me?" I was speechless. Tears filled my eyes as I nodded, barely able to breathe. Yes, 1,000 times yes. As we began planning our wedding, I was excited yet anxious about meeting his parents, Richard and Eleanor Sterling. I knew they owned a successful import-export business, but what I didn't know was how harsh their judgment would be. The day finally came when I was introduced to them. We gathered at a lavish restaurant, and as soon as I walked in, I felt small. The Sterling family was everything I wasn't: wealthy, polished, and powerful. Richard was imposing with a stern expression, while Eleanor was all sharp elegance, her eyes scanning me like I was a specimen under a microscope. "Caleb tells us you're a dishwasher," Eleanor asked, her voice dripping with condescension. "Yes," I replied, trying to stand tall. "I work at the diner while I finish my law degree." "Law degrees?" Richard scoffed. "That's quite ambitious for someone in your position." I could feel my heart pounding. "I'm determined to make something of myself," I said, trying to hold my ground, but it only got worse from there. The dinner was filled with thinly veiled insults and judgmental glances. Afterward, as we walked out, I turned to Caleb. They don't like me, I whispered, my heart sinking. It doesn't matter. I love you, Riley, that's all that counts, he replied, but I could sense his tension. However, the situation escalated quickly. Caleb and I decided to have a small wedding, just close friends, no family. I was relieved but also nervous about what would happen if his parents found out. On the day of our wedding, just as I was about to walk down the aisle, the doors burst open. There stood Richard and Eleanor, their faces filled with fury. "What are you doing?" Richard shouted, shocking everyone into silence. Eleanor stepped forward, her voice cold as ice. "You can't marry her, Caleb. She's a gold digger. Just look at her." I felt my cheeks burn with humiliation. "Please, just let us have our day," I begged, trying to maintain my composure. But Eleanor didn't stop. "You think this poor girl can make you happy? She'll only drag you down." As I stood there, my heart racing, I felt tears prick my eyes. I tried to speak up to defend myself, but before I could say anything, Eleanor lunged at me. She pulled my hair hard, and I fell to the ground completely mortified. As gasps filled the room, Caleb surged forward, anger blazing in his eyes. "Get away from her," he shouted, pulling his mother back. "You have no right to treat her like this." In that moment, I realized how serious the situation had become. My wedding day, which was supposed to be filled with joy, had turned into a battleground. And as Richard and Eleanor stormed out, leaving us all in shock, I felt a mix of anger and devastation wash over me. The wedding ceremony had been ruined, but I refused to let them have the last word. My heart hardened. I would not let this humiliation define me. It was time to take a stand against the Sterling family and show them that I was more than just a dishwasher. I was determined to reclaim my dignity, no matter the cost. After the disaster that was my wedding day, everything felt shattered. Caleb and I had to pick up the pieces of our relationship, but I could sense a change in him. The humiliation of what happened lingered in the air between us, and though we tried to move forward, it wasn't easy. That night, as we returned home, I could see the worry etched on Caleb's face. "I'm so sorry, Riley. I never thought they would show up like that," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "It's not your fault," I replied, though my heart ached with embarrassment. "But I can't just forget what happened. They think I'm nothing because of my job and background." Caleb took my hands, his grip firm. "You are so much more than that. I love you for who you are, not what you do. We'll figure this out together." Despite his reassurance, I couldn't shake the anger bubbling inside me. I had been pushed to the ground in front of everyone, and my dignity had been stripped away. I needed to do something. I needed to make them pay for the way they treated me. In the days after the wedding, I reached out to Wyatt Reed, an old friend from law school. He had always supported my ambitions, and I knew he would understand the determination driving me. "Riley, it's been too long," Wyatt said when we met at a coffee shop. "What's going on? You look like you've been through hell." I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. "Wyatt, I need your help. Caleb's parents humiliated me at our wedding, and I want to expose their hypocrisy. I want to show everyone who they really are." He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" I explained my plan to investigate Richard and Eleanor's import-export business. There had been whispers about shady dealings, but I needed solid proof. "I want to show the world that their wealth is built on illegal activities," I said, my resolve clear. Wyatt nodded, his expression serious. "I can help with that. Let's gather some information and see what we can uncover." For weeks, we dug into the Sterling family's business. I spent my evenings researching and compiling data, while Wyatt made industry connections. We soon learned that their business wasn't as spotless as they claimed. Rumors of unregistered exports and tax evasion swirled, but we needed evidence. One afternoon, as we went through public records, Wyatt found something crucial. "Riley, look at this," he exclaimed, pointing at his laptop screen. "They've been under investigation for potential tax fraud. If we gather enough evidence, we could bring them down." Excitement and fear surged through me. This is it, Wyatt. We have to dig deeper. As our investigation progressed, I felt a growing sense of empowerment. I wasn't the shy girl working in a diner anymore. I was a woman on a mission, determined to reclaim my dignity and fight back against the prejudice I'd faced. Every piece of evidence we collected felt like a step closer to justice. Caleb was supportive, but he also worried about the risks. Riley, I love your passion, but are you sure you want to do this? It could backfire, he warned one evening. I have to do this, Caleb. I can't let them get away with treating me like I'm nothing, I replied, my voice steady. He nodded, though concern lingered in his eyes. Just be careful. I don't want to lose you in this fight. Weeks turned into months as we meticulously built our case against the Sterlings. I sifted through documents, analyzed financial records, and interviewed former employees who had left under suspicious circumstances. With each new piece of information, my resolve grew stronger. I felt like a warrior preparing for battle. Just when I thought we had enough evidence to act, we hit a roadblock. One night, Wyatt called, his voice tense. Riley, I just heard some troubling news. The Sterling family knows someone's digging into their business. They won't let this go quietly. My heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? They've been looking for information about you. They might try to intimidate you, or worse, he warned. Fear gripped me, but I refused to back down. Let them come. I won't be intimidated into silence. As the days passed, I realized that the fight wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about standing up for myself, proving my worth, and showing the world that I wouldn't be a victim. I had risen from being a dishwasher to someone who could take on powerful adversaries, and with Caleb by my side, I felt ready to face whatever came next. But I knew we were entering dangerous territory. The Sterling family was powerful, and I was just a woman with a dream. Little did I know, the confrontation that awaited me would change everything. The tension in the air was palpable as Wyatt and I prepared to take the next step against the Sterling family. We had gathered substantial evidence against Richard and Eleanor's import-export business, but I knew we needed to act carefully. The stakes were high, and I could feel the weight of our plan bearing down on me. Riley, are you sure you're ready for this? Wyatt asked one evening as we sat in my small apartment, documents sprawled across the table like a battlefield map. I have to be, I replied, my determination unwavering. I won't let them continue to ruin lives with their illegal dealings. It's time to expose them for who they really are. Wyatt nodded, though his brow furrowed with concern. Okay, let's make sure we have everything in place. Once we go public, there's no turning back. With our plan set, we decided to approach a local news station that had a reputation for investigative reporting. We met with Jordan Hayes, a seasoned journalist known for her fierce dedication to uncovering the truth. As we sat in a small conference room, I felt a mix of excitement and nerves. Tell me everything, Jordan said, her pen poised above her notepad. I took a deep breath and began recounting the events leading up to our investigation. The humiliation at my wedding, the Sterling family's disdain for my background, and our discoveries about their illegal operations. I shared every detail, showing her the evidence we had collected, financial records, testimonies from former employees, and the research Wyatt had painstakingly compiled. Jordan listened intently, her eyes widening as the pieces fell into place. This is serious, she said, her voice steady. If what you say is true, I can help you expose them. We'll set up a detailed report and get this story out to the public. A surge of adrenaline coursed through me. For the first time since the wedding disaster, I felt empowered. With Jordan's help, we would reveal the truth, not just for my sake, but for all the people who had suffered under the Sterling family's shady dealings. Over the next few weeks, we worked tirelessly with the news station. The closer we got to the story breaking, the more I could sense the Sterling family's looming threat. My phone buzzed with notifications about new rumors spreading online. tales of my so-called gold-digging past resurfacing as if to undermine my credibility. "Riley, they're trying to discredit you," Wyatt said one day, looking concerned as he scrolled through social media. "We need to be ready for backlash." "I'm not going to let them intimidate me," I replied firmly. "This fight is about more than just us now. It's about showing everyone that they can't get away with this." The day finally arrived when Jordan's report was set to air. I sat in my living room, heart racing, as I watched the news. The screen flickered to life, and there was Jordan, poised and professional. "Tonight, we expose a local family accused of illegal activities in their business dealings," she announced, and my heart leaped as she detailed our findings. I felt a mixture of pride and fear. This was it. We were pulling back the curtain on the Sterling family, shining a light on their dark secrets. But then, just as I thought I was ready for anything, the phone rang. It was Caleb. "Riley, you need to come home right now. It's urgent," he said, his voice strained. "What's wrong?" I asked, panic rising in my chest. "Just come home, please," he urged. I rushed back to our apartment, fear coursing through me. As I entered, I found Caleb pacing, his face pale. "What's going on?" I demanded. "It's about my parents," he said, running a hand through his hair. "They've been watching you. They're furious about the report." Before I could respond, there was a loud knock on the door. My heart raced as I exchanged worried glances with Caleb. "Who is it?" I called out, my voice shaking. "It's the police," came a voice from the other side. "We need to speak with you." Suddenly, all my fears coalesced into a single thought. The Sterling family wouldn't let this go without a fight. As I opened the door, I braced myself for the confrontation that was about to unfold, knowing that the battle was far from over. When I opened the door, I was greeted by two police officers, their faces stern and serious. "Miss Hayes," one of them began, "we need to discuss some allegations related to your investigation into the Sterling family." Caleb stepped forward, his concern obvious. "What kind of allegations?" he asked. "Can we come inside?" the officer replied, casting a glance down the hallway. I nodded, my heart racing, and led them into the living room. The weight of uncertainty hung heavily in the air. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "We received an anonymous tip claiming that you and your friend may have fabricated evidence against the Sterling family," the officer explained, watching my reaction closely. Anger surged through me. "That's absurd. Everything we've uncovered is legitimate. We've followed the law and we have solid evidence to back it up." The officer raised his hand to calm me. "We're not accusing you of anything yet, but we need to verify these claims. We'd like to see the evidence you've gathered." Caleb glanced at me, his eyes filled with concern. "Riley, they're trying to turn this around on you. They're scared," he said. I took a deep breath, channeling my resolve. I won't let them intimidate us. They may have power and money, but I have the truth on my side. After the officers left, I turned to Caleb, whose anxiety mirrored my own. "We can't back down now. We need to gather everything we've got and be ready for whatever comes next." Over the next few days, we compiled every document, testimony, and piece of information we had. My phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, threats from anonymous accounts trying to intimidate me further. But I refused to let fear take hold. Finally, the day came when the police returned for the evidence. We presented everything meticulously: financial records, testimonies from former employees, and documentation of illegal activities. Each piece of evidence made my heart race, a mix of dread and determination coursing through me. After reviewing the files, the officers left, promising to thoroughly investigate the claims against the Sterling family. I knew we had made a significant move, but the battle wasn't over. The Sterling family still held significant power, and I had to be prepared for their retaliation. That night, I called Wyatt. "I need your help. I feel like they're going to strike back soon," I confessed. "We'll stay ahead of them. "You're not alone in this," Wyatt reassured me. His support reminded me that I had allies who believed in me. The next few weeks felt like a tense waiting game. Then, out of nowhere, a breakthrough came. Jordan reached out to let me know her investigation had gained traction. The news of the police investigation into the Sterling family had leaked, and suddenly their empire was under public scrutiny. As the media picked up the story, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. People began rallying behind me, voicing their support on social media and sharing their own stories of standing up against injustice. I was no longer just a victim. I had become a symbol of resilience. In the end, the Sterling family was forced to face the consequences of their actions. Richard and Eleanor were arrested on multiple charges, including tax fraud and illegal exports. As news of their downfall spread, I felt a profound sense of justice. I had fought back against the prejudice and betrayal that had tried to define me. Through it all, Caleb stood by my side, stronger than ever. "You did this, Riley. You stood up and fought for what was right," he said one evening, pulling me close. "Together," I replied, knowing that love and support had been the foundation of my strength. I had gone from being a dishwasher to someone who confronted powerful adversaries. I had not only reclaimed my dignity, but also carved out a path for my future. I graduated law school with honors and began working as an advocate for others facing similar injustices. Standing at the podium during my graduation ceremony, delivering a speech about resilience and justice, I knew my journey was just beginning. The fight against societal prejudice wasn't over, but I was ready to face it head-on, proving that one's worth isn't defined by background or wealth, but by integrity, loyalty, and the courage to stand up for oneself. And so, my story continues, filled with hope, strength, and the unwavering belief that love can overcome even the darkest of challenges.